to Great American Ballpark in downtown Cincinnati. This homestand continues for the Reds after being rained out last night against Detroit. They welcome the Miami Marlins for the first of 3 years tonight. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome to Reds baseball. And, you know, the last 4 days we saw the big slugger Miguel Cabrera of the Detroit Tigers. Well, now we see another one in the Marlins, Giancarlo Stanton.
Well, really what you have with Giancarlo Stanton is the hitting version of Aroldis Chapman. I mean, he hits them harder than anybody out there. You see the lead that he has in the major leagues with 25 home runs and 63 runs batted in, 20 or more each of his first 6 years. And when you say hitting them hard, he hits them real hard and real far.
Look at some of the distances from Stanton this year. He nearly hit this ball out of Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, but you know, in baseball, they don't ask you how far. They ask you how many. And the one thing about Stanton is 6 out in addition to his home run total is the fact that he has struck out 25 more times than the leading strikeout guy that the Reds have out there. So Giancarlo Stanton, they keep saying the same thing about him. He hits it harder than anybody else, but if he could cut his strikeouts down, he'd have a whole lot more to go around the bases.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about a couple of thieves in the house. Jim Day has that story when we return.
Reds and the Fish tonight. Will it rain? Good question. I think we're good early on, but toward the end of the game, maybe 7th, 8th, 9th inning, skies may darken. We could get into some rain, scattered showers, and thunderstorms near the end of the game. This is one to watch. 75 down to 73. We could use another one. Ooh, enjoy the game, everyone, on Fox Sports Ohio. And by all means, have a very pleasant weekend.
I'm Jim Day on the field. If you like old school speed in the game and a National League ball game, well, you might enjoy tonight's game if a couple of guys get on base, because two of the best base stealers in the league, in fact, the two best right now, are going head to head. Dee Gordon and Billy Hamilton. You look at the numbers, And these guys are friends off the field. In fact, they belong to the same promotional company, so they have a little bit of a bet going. Billy Hamilton has the edge right now. It is our IGS bringing the energy. Hamilton has the nod so far, but Gordon on his heels. Reds looking for Billy to run. Oh, Billy run. Weekend series opener. Bit more smiles around the Reds dugout. Hopefully those smiles will continue. Tom Brenneman and Chris Welsh are next with the call on Fox Sports Ohio.
Regional tourism networks. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy, check out their award-winning lineup only in your tri-state Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time. Crowd rolling into Great American Ballpark on an overcast evening. And look at the Reds uniforms tonight. On Irish Heritage Night. They have the shamrocks out, the green, looking good, Mr. Welch.
Yeah, they ought to hang on to those things and wear them on St. Patrick's Day when that rolls around next year in spring training. The hats are one thing. Normally we see those in spring training, but the full-fledged green uniforms, those are something special. The only guy, maybe the nonconformist out there, is on the mound. And Mike Leake, he wears his pant legs very high, exposes those red socks, and maybe they couldn't come up with any green ones, but here he is. That's a different look, but it's a classic Mike Leake approach.
That is the Christmas tree version of the uniforms tonight.
Well, let's hope he doesn't get lit up like my Christmas tree.
Let's take a look at the Marlins batting order. They began the year with Mike Redmond as their manager, and then they named their general manager Dan Jennings the skipper. Gordon at second, Dietrich is at third, Christian Yelich in left, Stanton in right, Ozuna in center, Justin Bour at first base, Real Muto is behind the plate, Echeverria the shortstop, and Danny Herron is on the mound. Mike Leake tries to even his season record at 4 up and 4 down.
Well, he's 10 games over 500 in his major league career tonight, making start number 156. And as we've noticed, really, when Mike Leake is good, he hits his spots, and when he misses off the plate or down the dirt. When he's not so good, he misses, and he misses out over the plate, and he gets hit.
First pitch swinging, and that's an easy out right up the first baseman, Joey Votto. That will take care of D. Gordon. So we are underway. There you see Dan Jennings managing his 31st game since replacing Redmond this year. course, high expectations, Chris, for this Marlins team. They spent a lot of money along with some good-looking young players, and they thought, hey, it's time to contend again in the National League East, and they still feel like they have a chance, but it's been some murky waters to get to this point.
Well, it was Dan Jennings that really put this team together along with some of the other guys in the front office, and when they dismissed Mike Redmond as manager, Jennings was the guy that was really the first one to be considered. Had never managed before except at the high school level, but he said that he knew the personnel, felt comfortable with all the guys, and would get help with the on-the-field stuff. And he also realized in the process that he would be the most scrutinized manager in all of baseball. He'll make a move that you wouldn't second guess a veteran manager on, but you certainly would immediately first and second guess Jennings just because he's a newbie.
And his first job after he was unable to reach the major leagues as a player, interesting enough, was as a scout for the Cincinnati Reds. That was the first year that he got out of playing baseball.
I think that was as an associate scout, so you're really not paid unless you start signing players.
Gone slinging his Dietrich. 2 up, 2 down for Mike Leake here in the opening inning. Take a look at the forward defense and look who's back in left field. That didn't last very long in Louisville, did it, Chris, for Marlon Byrd?
Well, you know, he's got a lot of incentive to come back here and sit right back in that left field spot. And let's hope that he's swinging the bat as well as he did down in his rehab, because he had a home run down there that they said went a long, long way.
Christian Yelich, the left fielder, pardon me, looks at ball 1 down low. Yelich got off to a slow start, trying to work his way back up. .232 batter, 4 home runs and 15 runs batted in.
A lot better lately for Yelich. Has been battling a bad back. But those that have watched the Marlins will tell you that he's been a completely different hitter really in the last couple of weeks.
He's only 23 years old. Played his first full season in the major leagues last year, 144 games. Hit .284, had 9 home runs, 30 doubles. Had an on-base percentage up over 36%. And they are very excited about this former #1 pick in 2010. 3-2 to Yelich. Giancarlo Stanton waits in the on-deck circle. Leake would like to see him leading off the next inning, and it's strike 3 call. Reds are coming up after a perfect first for Mike Leake. Dan Herron and Brian Price's starting lineup. Boy, what a difference the lineup looks like tonight compared to the one that Brian was going to start last night. Phillips at second, Votto in the 2-hole, Frazier down at third, Bruce in the lineup, Marlon Byrd is back, Suarez a shortstop, Barnhart catching Leake, and Billy Hamilton bats ninth. Boy, Dan Aaron's been around a long time. Been a very, very good pitcher for better than a decade.
He is now 34 years old, which makes him 7 years older than the next oldest player on the field with him tonight. Drafted originally by the St. Louis Cardinals, second round, 2001. And he has been a very, very fine pitcher. This start number 362 in his major league career.
Aaron, a native Californian, and when he signed with the Dodgers a couple of years ago, you thought that's where it might all come to an end for him. You see, going back over the last 10 seasons, 11 now in baseball, and where he ranks among all major league pitchers. First in starts, first in innings, third most wins, strikeouts. But then during the offseason, after an option in his contract kicked in, he was traded along with D. Gordon in a big deal coming over here to the Marlins. Thought about retiring. Yet he's putting together a solid season. Fly ball into left field. When Aaron started in this ballpark a couple of years ago, he saw a lot of those balls leave the yard. More on that in a minute. The Marlins defense presented by Ford. Ozuna flanked by Yelich and Stanton. Very good middle infield duo of Echeverria and Gordon. Strike one on Joey Votto.
You know, Danny Herron was never a guy that was an overpowering fastball pitcher. The best he ever was, he averaged around 92 and a half miles an hour. He is down now to 88 or 87 miles an hour. So what you're going to get is a little bit of cut, a little bit of sink, a cutter that is really below hitting speed, an occasional curveball, but really good command of all those pitches. In fact, he doesn't let the lack of velocity bother him at all. He's almost proud of it. So proud, in fact, and Jim Day will love this, that his Twitter handle is I throw 88.
Wow. Jim Day would like that. Jim's is I drive 88 when he's going up and down from Franklin County. Two and two to Joey Votto, who did not like that call by Eric Cooper, and he's letting him know about it.
Well, I think so far that Eric Cooper has angered somebody on either side. And maybe that little talk by Joey Votto may have bought him that pitch right there. You never really know. I mean, there's no way that a hitter is going to intimidate an umpire. But now you've got the pitcher Dan Herron walking around the mound because he thought that was a strike. So now Christian Yelich has disagreed, Votto has disagreed, and the pitcher Herron has disagreed. So Eric Cooper's got it right where he wants him.
Ball four, and Herron is hot. Guy's been around the block many, many times. He is really upset. That's the closest thing you can do to showing up an umpire on the mound. What Herron did after that 2-2 call.
Well, the 2-2 call was the number 5 pitch. The last pitch right there was well off the plate. Herron knew that. But you can see where they're going after Votto. They're going to go right inside and see if he can hit the ball on the inner part of the plate.
Frazier hits one right on the screws, and it sails past Ozuna. And on his way to third, Votto. And standing up at second, it's Todd Frazier. Check him out, man. He's fired up.
I'll tell you. I mean, hit it like a 1-iron, and it just took off on the center fielder, Ozuna. This is actually the way that Giancarlo Stanton hits the ball, where it seems like it goes about halfway to the outfielder and then takes off on you. And Ozuna's a very good outfielder, just completely fooled by how hard that ball was hit.
Not only the leader in the National League is Todd Frazier, he is the leader in the major leagues in extra base hits. Well, what a year he is having, and of course a serious campaign kicking off to get Todd Frazier in as a starter for the National League All-Star team. Phil Castellini speaking out about that before the game today, and the guys on Reds Live told you all about it. If you weren't with us, we'll have more on it later. 2-0 to Jay Bruce. 2 balls and a strike. Jay coming off one of the best games of his major league career. It was the best game of his career as far as number of hits in a game. He had 5 of them here on Wednesday night, and has 7 hits in his last 2 games. Of course, the Reds would be happy with a ground ball to the second baseman right here and right now at the very minimum. Marlins infield conceding the run with 1 out in the inning, and Votto at third, Frazier at second. Aaron, a long look in, and now the 2-2 on Bruce. That's the last thing in the world the Reds wanted there. 2 away in the inning.
Went right down and in on Jay Bruce to get a strikeout on a slider. This is what I'm talking about with command right now. Maybe that wasn't a slider. He may have just taken something off his fastball. That was the slider. As you see, it comes out of his hand with a little bit of spin on it. He really doesn't have a lot of break, but it sinks a little bit, and it's slow enough that hitters, they're going to chase it, and if he puts it in that spot, there's not a lot you can do with it.
Marlon Byrd back from a disabled list for the first time since June the 3rd. Well, he made a remarkably fast recovery. I mean, think about it. A fractured right wrist.
Maybe it wasn't as broken as much as he thought.
He's back less than 3 weeks later. One ball and 1 strike. He got hit by a pitch, you may remember, by Philadelphia's Sean O'Sullivan. And the Reds put him on the DL immediately. Last couple of days he's played with Louisville. 2 balls and a strike on Marlon Byrd. Two and 2 on Marlon. Check in downstairs with Jim Day.
Marlon Byrd returns just 17 days after suffering that injury, and he worked with Dr. Timothy Krimchek, who had done his 2 prior surgeries on his shoulder and his left knee. And originally they told him that he was going to be in a cast for 4 weeks, but he said Krimchek knew my body, knew I wanted to go after it aggressively. And they asked him if he did anything special during it, anything unorthodox to getting back so soon. He said no, just all-American healing. So he's had no problem in the 2 games he had at AA Pensacola. He was surprised that he didn't have any issues down there, and is back, and boy, the Reds certainly can use him.
You know, Dr. Krimchek has become known all over the country, especially at the big league level, for his work on the Tommy John surgery and on elbows. There's a pop-up right side, and the Reds will fail to score with 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. End of 1, no score in Cincinnati.
Frazier and Bryce Harper, those are your major league home run leaders, and two of them going head to head in this game as Giancarlo Stanton steps in to begin the top of the second for the Marlins. And guys, he was asked before today's game, if you are asked, would you participate in the home run derby here at Great American Ballpark, he said, I would love to do it if asked. If they don't ask him, there should be an investigation.
I second that, Jim Day. I mean, this is what the home run hitting contest is for the fans. And why wouldn't you want to get one of the strongest guys in the history of baseball in that home run hitting contest so you can throw a crowd? That sounds like a no-brainer to me.
2-1 to Stanton, and it's taken outside. 3 balls and a strike. Major league leader in home runs and runs batted in. Pretty slick pickup there by Suarez.
A lot of overspin on that ball right there, and I guess Suarez puts his glove down in a spot where he thinks the ball is going to be, and lo and behold, there it is. He has shown himself to be an above average defensive shortstop in the time we've seen him in spring training and in the time we've seen him up here in replacing Zach Kozar. Now, he's got big shoes to fill with Kozar now. Kozar can flat out pick it.
Ozuna just 24 years old, a native of the Dominican Republic. They brought him up for the final couple of months in 2013. Then he played all but 9 games a season ago. Hit 23 home runs, knocked in 85 runs. Well, they've got some nice young players now, especially in that outfield. This is as good a young trio of outfielders on one team as you'll find on any club in baseball, with Stanton still so young, Yelich, and Ozuna. You know, there's a lot to like about the Marlins team. You can understand why they were excited before the year began, and they've gone most of the year without, or part of the year anyway, without 3/5 of their rotation. They've gone part of the year without 4/5 of the rotation they envisioned being a part of the regular 5 all year long, and they hope to have all of them back together perhaps as early as the All-Star break.
Yeah, but even with that said, Tom, a lot of their players are so young and so untested over the course of a whole year or a couple of years in a row. I'm not sure that the expectations they had down there in Miami, just because they spent a boatload of money on Giancarlo Stanton, were really warranted. Nice little slider, perfect spot.
They've already announced that they're just outstanding young pitcher, and it is hard to believe he is still only 22 years old. We saw him his rookie year in 2013. Jose Fernandez coming all the way back from Tommy John, and they've already announced a game in which he will return. That is on July the 2nd. It'll be a day game against the defending world champion San Francisco Giants.
You know, when they first called him up, they called him up from A-ball to the major leagues. So tonight he will pitch on a rehab, continuing to rehab from Tommy John surgery that he had last year, and he will get his first taste of AAA baseball.
How about that? Justin Bour at 276, 5 home runs, 11 runs batted in. You got a shot of a Matt Latos, a one-time Cincinnati Red. He just came back off the disabled list. And Bour went around. 6 up, 6 down for Lee. He has fanned 2/3 of those he's faced. Reds will bat in a scoreless game. By Oakland. How about the Reds bullpen? Now, you know, we're so used to the Reds bullpen working the fewest number of innings in Major League Baseball, which they've done over the last number of years. But look at this lately. They're being used.
Or they are being used. Of course, you have a different starting rotation. And you had, you know, over the last 7 ball games, remember the one game that John Moscott came out injured after 1 inning? That'll put a strain on your bullpen by itself. Extra inning games, games that are interrupted by rain delays where you lose your starter and you got to bring a guy back in because the rain delay was more than an hour long. So all those circumstances have strained that bullpen a little bit. But those guys who didn't think they were getting a chance to pitch this year are getting maybe more of a chance than they thought they would.
And you know what? A big tip of the cap as a breaking ball is in there, 1-1 on Suarez. Scoreless game in the 2nd inning to Donovan Hand.
You're right.
They brought him up. He pitched just spectacularly here. What a pickup down there at 3rd by Dietrich. What a way. Had that double written all over it.
Well, you know, when you pitch in the major leagues, Tom, you don't necessarily pitch only for your team. You're pitching also for yourself. And, you know, with trades happening here and there, you know, a guy like Donovan Hand may or may not fit in the Reds organization. Don't know that. But there's a scout there that probably took note of the fact that he pitched those 3 innings under pressure and did a really good job in the process. And he probably got a few, you know, extra marks somewhere along the scouting regime. So that can only help you.
That one dumped into left center field. A base hit by Tucker Barnhart. He was the only position player that did not play for either team, you may remember, in that 13-inning affair 2 nights ago. That was a game Hand was so good out of the pen.
I really wish that Tucker would take more swings like this. Controlled, hands inside the ball, not trying to hit the ball into the sun deck, but just taking what the pitcher gives you. And when you're facing a guy like Heron, if you try to overpower the baseball, he'll get you out.
Now Mike Leake, 5 hits and 31 at bats. Straight up in the air. Easy for Osuna, 2 away. You know, in honor of Father's Day this coming Sunday, as part of the league's ongoing efforts to raise awareness for various forms of cancer, all 30 clubs around Major League Baseball will be devoting the day to celebrating fathers and increasing awareness of prostate cancer. And through the Keep the Dad in the Game platform, everybody is taking part in our home run challenge. Every team, so many of the players and the managers. And the man who started this whole idea, Michael Milken, will be joining us during the telecast tonight. He stops in to see us every year.
He does indeed. Looking forward to seeing Michael. I know over the years you've gotten very close with him, talked to him several times about all sorts of things.
Yep. I had him running camera one night at Dodger Stadium in LA.
That.
And I found out he's good friends with Rupert Murdoch. And I mean,
I can't hurt you.
I've been around, you know, Rupert. He probably doesn't know it, Rupert Murdoch, you know, but I've worked for him for like 24 years. And Michael says, well, would you like to say hello? And he hits a button on his phone. He hands it to me, and guy answers the phone with an Australian accent. Rupert Murdoch.
How do you know it wasn't Michael Milligan's barber?
I've never thought to ask that question. For every Reds home run in the game, that means $12,500 for prostate cancer research, and you can make a pledge. We'd love to have it if you're able. Go online to homerunchallenge.org. And I was talking about the gentleman who came up with this idea, a prostate cancer survivor himself, Mr. Michael Milken. And 20 years, Michael. I can't believe it, since you and I first got together to do this. I remember at Dodger Stadium, we had you working camera that night.
That's, you know, and people don't really appreciate how hard it is to be a cameraman. I don't know if you remember, that ball went out to the outfield.
I do.
I could not find the ball. So it's not that easy to find a ball, and I'll tell you that.
Well, our crew immediately loves you for saying that, so thank you for that.
It's not that easy a job. You think you can do it? It takes experience.
Yes, it does. Now, 20 years, can you believe that amount of time? How many years was it before you started with this idea that you were diagnosed with prostate cancer?
I was diagnosed 22 and a half years ago. They gave me 12 to 18 months to live. And I was at a breakfast with a group of owners, Jerry Reinsdorf, Fred Wilpon, you know, and a bunch of other owners at the time, Carl Linder, who had prostate cancer. And the idea was, come out to the ballpark, remind your dad to get tested, keep dad in the game. And so this has become, over the last 20 years, the #1 awareness program in all of baseball for prostate cancer, but in the whole world for prostate cancer.
And you've seen survivor rates dramatically increase over those 20 years.
You sure have. And a man today has better than a 99% chance of living more than 5 years who's been diagnosed with prostate cancer. 1 in 7 men in America will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime. And probably the best news is the death rate has fallen by more than 50% since we started.
I remember when you read those stats when we first started about this, and I think a lot of people were stunned at how serious, if you were diagnosed, it really was. And to think where you are now, it's incredible.
It is. In '93, if you had advanced prostate cancer, there was not much in the way of options for you. Today, with the $45 million we've raised from home runs and you can pledge for, and we've leveraged that 15 to 1 to more than $600 million. There's 6 new drugs approved today.
There's a Tapper foul.
So, Michael, I mean, those are staggering statistics and great advancement that you've made, but is the rate of prostate cancer going down like the rate of survivor? Shift of prostate cancer going up?
No, the incidence is the same. It's really the treatment. Okay. So it's a combination of awareness and early diagnosis from what we have here, coupled with new treatments. And men that have been diagnosed now with advanced prostate cancer, like myself, that had spread through their bodies, these new drugs put it, in most cases, into remission. And so you can live a normal life. There are 15 million people in America who've had cancer living normal lives today, men and women. And the 20 years since we started this has really been a dramatic change in areas of immunology, just energizing your own immune system. And so this is having an effect in all forms of cancer. The idea, how did you get cancer? Well, one, your immune system was compromised through an inflammation or something, or your immune system didn't recognize it.
That's in the air in foul territory, and there are 2 outs in the inning. If you would like to get involved, we certainly mentioned earlier, if you'd like to make a pledge, you can go online at homerunchallenge.org. Anything else people
or
can
PCF.org. And when you go there, you learn all about nutrition. You know, when we started this 20 years ago, it cost $3 billion to sequence one genome yourself. Now it costs $1,000 and takes an hour. So today we know there's 28 types of prostate cancer, not one. And you could be treated for the type you have. And almost all life-threatening diseases, we're learning there's different types. We never could do that because the cost was prohibitive.
Well, we know you're bouncing over to the Marlins side. It's always great seeing you. Thanks for all you've done.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm saying that from a lot of dads out there.
And it's amazing how young you look.
Oh, come on.
Okay, it's hard to believe you were even started 20 years ago.
It's hard to believe I'm still going.
And Fox has done a great job.
Yeah. Nice to see you, Mike.
Thank you.
All the best. Keep up the great work. PCF.org or homerunchallenge.org. During our game tonight, Vanessa Lanigan. Lanigan, is that Irish? It's Irish heritage night.
Sure sounds like it would be.
She's from Ludlow, Kentucky.
Well, maybe she'll have the luck of the Irish tonight.
Well, maybe she will. So good luck. Well, pitching at Great American Ballpark has not been necessarily all that friendly to Dan Herron. He had one of the worst starts of his career going back to 2013.
That's his old friend Todd Frazier.
Yeah, the Reds hit 4 home runs in that game against him. 6 earned in 4 innings. That Kozar hit 2 of those home runs. Having said that, the last time that Herron pitched against the Reds, a couple of times last year, he threw the ball very, very well. June the 9th of last season allowed 2 runs and 5 hits, only 1 home run over 5 1/3 innings. One and one on Brandon Phillips. Reds had a golden chance in the first inning, 2nd and 3rd with only 1 out and could not score. They're hitting some balls hard off Herron tonight, but there's a liner right into the middle of the right fielder Stenton. You can follow the Reds wherever you are with MLB.com at bat. And replay reviews, live look-ins, in-game highlights, StatCast, at bat for your smartphone or tablet. Here's Joey, and he takes off the inside corner, ball 1. Otto walked, went to 3rd on a double by Frazier, was stranded there in the opening inning. Herron has extraordinary control. Chris talked about it earlier. In 100 of his starts, he has not walked a batter. In fact, in May of last year, or this year, he became the 24th right-handed pitcher in the last 100 years to have 100 career starts and not walk a single batter. This is his first year with the Marlins, and he's already tied a club record with Kevin Brown, going 4 consecutive outings without walking a batter. And you saw his strikeout to walk career ratio. It's just extraordinary. And he just strikes out Votto, his 3rd of the night.
I mean, they're not messing around with Joey Votto on the outer part of the plate one bit. They did the first time, came in. Early in this at bat, they went away, but like they did last time when they wanted to go get him out, they came inside. Now, he walked last time. Votto trying to foul that ball off and unable to come up with it.
Todd Frazier, a line drive that sailed over the head of the center fielder Ozuna in the opening inning. Pretty good pitch right there.
You know, Tom, you talk about Herron's control. And if you look at the list of those pitchers, essentially to throw the most strikes. I mean, that's the same thing as not walking batters. And you've got the guys who are leading the league in all the other categories as well. Guys like Max Scherzer on that list. Johnny Cueto, Zach Greinke, Madison Bumgarner, Kyle Hendricks, all those pitchers that you'd like to have in your rotation, because they go right after the hitters and they don't dig themselves holes by walking a lot of batters.
Frazier wasn't sure, but it's strike 2, full count on Todd with 2 away and the base is empty. Frazier called out on strikes. 4 of them in the game for Dan Herron. It's a 1-2-3 third. We're off to the 4th. No score at Great American Ballpark. The first of 3 over the weekend with the Marlins in town. 9 up, 9 set down by right-hander Mike Leake. So top of the order for the Marlins. A speedy D. Gordon comes in inning 356 on the year. He went after the first pitch of the game and hit a bouncer right at Joey Votto for a quick out. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Gordon, to be followed by Dietrich and then Yelich. Gordon coming off his best season in the major leagues. He was a highly thought of prospect, 4th round pick by the Dodgers back in 08. Broke in initially in 2011, looked very, very good. Wheels fell off in 12, fell out of favor in the organization, changed positions, went down to the minor leagues basically on his last leg prior to last year. And he put together a really nice season. Hit .289 for the Dodgers. Stole 64 bases to lead the league. But they brought in Howie Kendrick to play second base and traded D. Gordon. One ball and 2 strikes on Gordon, and he'll hang around.
And he got off to a tremendous start this year. He hit over 400 in the month of April. He hit over 350 in the month of May, and he's right around the 300 mark in June. So little by little coming back to earth, but he got off to a terrific start. That's why that on base percentage is up there as high as it is. And that's what they don't like about the same thing that they don't like about Billy Hamilton. When you hit the ball in the air, you don't never get to use your speed, and he's got a bunch of it.
We invite you to get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before the start of every game. We call it Reds Live here on Fox Sports Ohio. It's presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Will come your way at 6:30 tomorrow night. Again, a reminder, if you have tickets for tomorrow's game or you're thinking about coming down to the game, if you received a schedule early this season or before the year began, it will show tomorrow as a 4 o'clock game. It has been changed to 7 o'clock. Broken back for the second out of the inning. Don't forget, tomorrow they're giving away to the first 25,000 through the gates the Brandon Phillips bobblehead. Jim Day, any further update on Brandon's impression of that bobblehead? Anything since you were with him late last night?
This is a classic television tease. We'll have that scouting report tomorrow, Tom. On camera.
Wow. All right. Yelich called out on strikes his first time up. And now Leake ahead at 1 ball and 2 strikes.
This is one of those nights that during the summer is a good night to pitch. There's some humidity in the air, makes your breaking ball break a little bit, but it's not so hot that balls are flying out of here if you just get the ball in the air a little bit. And it's not so hot that it chases you out from fatigue or exhaustion after, 6 or 7 innings like it can when we get into the month of August. Just wet enough here to work up a little lather and get a good grip on the baseball.
And Yelich went around. That is strike 3. And Mike Leake very, very sharp so far here tonight. He's retired the front 12. No score.
Miami Marlins here at GABP. It's part of Super Saturdays. The first 25,000 fans in attendance will receive the aforementioned Brandon Phillips bobblehead. It's presented by Fox Sports Ohio. That would be us. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or reds.com/tickets. I'm Jim Day. Indeed, we will have that scouting report from Brandon Phillips coming up tomorrow. But let's follow up on that story with he and David Price of the Tigers, who just left town. David Price said that he needed one of those bobbleheads from Brandon Phillips. And Brandon Phillips indeed sent out a tweet saying now this is his words, to da homie David Price, hope you and Mama P enjoy this bobblehead of this handsome guy. Hashtag I'm gloving it. So that bobblehead you saw in that picture will be going to David Price.
All right. Jim Day was all over that story, as he is with every story for the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're talking about Joey Votto, Brandon Phillips, Michael Lorenzen, or Aroldis Chapman. Jim Day is on. I mean, we don't call him the Reds insider, but we should.
That Larry Herms had a chance, and how did he do? Bounced off his hands, rolled around his feet, and when it stopped, he made a fine play.
Bruce lifts one into left center field. Reds could have used that in the first inning with second and third and one out. Instead, this comes leading off the fourth inning, and it's out number one.
Aaron, a young man that grew up in La Puente, California, went to Bishop Amat Memorial High School, and then he went on to Pepperdine University, where he wasn't even the best pitcher on the team. He was the second guy drafted off the team in 2001. The #1 draft pick went in the first round to the Giants, Noah Lowry. And Herron was plucked in the second round. He was the 72nd player taken overall in that 2001 draft. The Cardinals got him, and then they, by way of the Dodgers, came to the Marlins.
Well, I thought Noah Lowry was going to be a really good pitcher. There's a drive into deep center field. Welcome back, Marlon Byrd. Nice to have that bat back in the lineup for Brian Price.
Sure makes a difference. It's remarkable that he's come back as fast as he has. This is not so remarkable. We've seen him do that before. Herron knows it as soon as it leaves the bat. And so does Marlon Byrd. He was very upset with himself in that first inning.
Came up fastball.
Came up with 2 outs and a couple of runners on base and was unable to get him in. And you could see him visibly upset when he went back into the dugout. But he atoned for himself there with that opposite field homer.
For Byrd, overall number 11. And here is a Eugenio Suarez. 1 ball and 2 strikes. That'll back up the shortstop. Echevarria throwing out Suarez. 2 away in the inning. So the Reds in front 1-0 here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Pirates trailing in D.C. early on. That's a 3-1 ball game. Cardinals jumped all over Philadelphia. Everybody's been jumping all over Philadelphia. Phillies snapping a long losing streak last night. The Cardinals in front 4-0 in the 3rd. That one in the air, and that's all for the Reds. as Yelich makes a play off the bat of Barnhart. But Marlon Byrd is second at bat off the DL. A long ball. 1-0 Redlegs. Buy your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. By Meyer, find more for a healthier you at Meyer. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country once again on U.S. News. And World Report's best children's hospitals in America. Downtown Cincinnati, home of Major League Baseball's All-Star Game. We are less than a month and closing fast. You can already start to see some of the construction being done in preparation of putting up that brand new video board in right center field. They just announced it during the last homestand. My understanding is, there you see where it's going to go up. My understanding is it's coming in 4 big pieces that, of course, will require a crane out on Mering Way to put it all together. But right now, I'm told by all the guys that are working on that baby here at the ballpark that things are looking good. I mean, it's an extraordinary undertaking in such a short amount of time. Stanton, a ground ball to second. And Leake has retired the first 13 hitters of the night.
Got to really like the way that he has come right after Giancarlo Stanton. Got him on a 3-1 fastball his last time. Went ahead of him here, 0-2. Got Stanton to expand the zone, chase something outside, and get another ground ball.
Some of you may be wondering why Stanton wears that football-like face mask, covering up the left side of his face. Now, I'm sure many of you remember in the middle of September last year, he was hit in the face with a fastball, suffered facial lacerations, small fractures, major dental damage, and that ended his season. That's why some people were, I'm not going to say surprised, because Stanton certainly has put up numbers and he's so young and he's great in the community, and I mean, he's the foundation and the building block of this Marlins franchise. But there were some that asked the question, did you ever worry that the last pitch that he faced a live pitcher in a game before you gave him that kind of money, he was hit in the face? And you can understand that question.
Sure. There have been other players throughout the history of baseball that had been beamed and never quite came back to be the players that they were previously. Well, here is the hit by pitch. Mike Fiers on the mound from the Milwaukee Brewers. And you can see by the reaction that Fiers had no intention of coming up and in. The ball just got away from him. And that got Stanton flush. There was a great deal of blood all around the home plate area.
It was terrifying. Thank God he's all right, because when you saw it happen, and I remember Reds were on the road playing, I don't remember where, but when it happened, you thought, oh man. First base runner of the night for these Marlins. A 1-out walk to Ozuna after Leake had retired the first 13 hitters of a game, and now it's 2-0 on Justin Bour. Well, you can get free autographs from your favorite MLB and Reds legends and Hall of Famers. Guys like Barry Larkin, Tony Perez, who's here tonight, Eric Davis, and many more at the T-Mobile All-Star Fan Fest, and that comes with the price of admission. Tickets available now at allstargame.com. So now all of a sudden Leake, who retired 13 batters in a row, fell behind Ozuna 3-0, ended up walking him. And now 3-0 on Bour and walks him on 4 pitches. What in the world has just happened before our very eyes?
You know, sometimes you just take a little mental break. And that's exactly what it looked like right there. After coming right after Giancarlo Stanton, you know, you're so hyped up and you're so amped up to pitch to the toughest guy in the other lineup. Sometimes there's a little mental letdown after that. At least that's what it appears to me. I think every pitcher that has been out there, he's had it happen to him.
Realmuto, the batter. He grounded his short his first time up, and the crowd facetiously cheers a first pitch strike from Leake, who is still not allowed a base hit. We're in the top of the 5th inning, and it is a 1-0 Reds lead on a Marlon Byrd home run. Breaking ball low and away. Ozuna the tying run. He's out in scoring position. The lead run is Bour at first with 1 away. A ball and 2 strikes. And that's strike 3 call.
Never got the bat off his shoulder. He goes away shaking his head. Can't believe that ball came back that much. Look at the break. This is a 2-seam fastball that Mike Leake gets very good extension on. And he's got some serious comeback action on that.
So 2 away, and Echeverria, the batter, who's having an excellent offensive season. Just short of 300 as a batter with 28 runs batted in. Has 17 extra base hits, and that's a middle infield shortstop hitting 8th in a lineup. Those are pretty good numbers for Danny Echeverria. High bouncer, and Suarez makes the play to end the inning. So League pitches around a couple of one-out walks. A nice play by his shortstop to retire the side. Marlins without a hit through the front 5, and the Reds with a 1-0 lead. Great American Ballpark for All-Star Sunday, July the 12th. An exciting doubleheader, futures game, the celebrity softball game. Tickets are available now at allstargame.com. Let's see where our buddy Urban Meyer's playing in that.
Hey, he's a player, right?
Well, he was, good enough to play college and get drafted by the Atlanta Braves.
A lot of big names playing in that. Chris Sabo coming back to play in that.
That'll be great.
Paul O'Neill, of course, will be playing in that.
O'Neill might hit one of the seats.
He may hit one over the seats. Let me tell you.
That guy is as good as conditioned athlete right now as he was when he played.
It's unbelievable.
It really is unbelievable. Two and two the count on Mike Leake against Dan Herron. Reds with a 1-0 lead. Straight up in the air. In front of the second base bag and behind the mound, Echeverria for out number 1. Billy Hamilton called out on strikes his first time up. Will bat with 1 out here in the Reds' 5th.
Yeah, so far through the order, almost 2 times. Billy Hamilton's the only one remaining for Dan Herron, but he is giving a clinic on how to pitch with subpar stuff. I mean, if he walked into a major league tryout camp tomorrow and flashed his fastball at 87 miles an hour, they'd put their hand on his shoulder and say, son, might be time to get on with whatever you were dreaming about after your baseball career, because the after starts right now.
It's too bad.
Just goes to show you. And you wonder how many other pitchers that are out there that would fall in that same category if they could just get enough of a look and develop the type of feel for pitching that Herron has over the years. Now remember, when you're a number 2 draft pick out of Pepperdine and you set all sorts of college records and you were an outstanding minor leaguer and had all the accolades that he did. I think he was 5th in the Cy Young Award voting one year. He's a workhorse for the most part, but he's been able to adapt along the way, and there's no reason that a lot of guys like Mike Leake, for instance, can't pitch a long time. understanding what they do about the art of changing speeds and changing location.
Remember, Herron originally came up with the St. Louis Cardinals. Well, Jocketty was a general manager when they drafted Dan Herron. Gone swinging is Hamilton, and that's 5 of them tonight for the Marlins right-hand.
He was traded from St. Louis along with Derek Barton and Kiko Calero for Mark Mulder.
Yep.
First, Herron went to the Oakland A's in that deal. Mulder had seen his better years really with the A's. Then traded by the A's to the Arizona Diamondbacks.
That was in, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that in the Carlos Gonzalez deal?
Indeed, yeah.
That was when the Diamondbacks thought they were a pitcher away after going to the playoffs in the LCS. Thought that they were a pitcher away from maybe winning the whole thing. Didn't work out that way. You know, that other pitcher you mentioned that he was traded along with to Oakland, had he not gotten hurt, that Kiko Calero looked like a keeper. They used both Calero and Herron in the bullpen when they first brought him up to the major leagues to the Cardinals. And man, they were a dynamic young pair of pitchers pitching the Cardinals into the postseason. Gone swinging Brandon Phillips, and gone are the Reds in order. We march to the 6th. Reds 1, Miami nothing. That's his Sunday now. Celebrate Dad and cheer on the Reds. The first 10,000 dads in attendance receive a Reds tumbler, thanks to Cons. And you can take advantage of that Reds for $48 ticket offer. Get 4 Reds hats, 4 seats, $48. 513-381-REDS. We'd love to wish a happy anniversary. 66 years yesterday to Bob and Wanda Purdy. 66th anniversary to Bob and Wanda Purdy yesterday. Congratulations.
Wow,
that's incredible.
You better believe it. Congratulations.
2-0 on Dan Herron.
So that was yesterday, right? The Purdy's anniversary. Well, with the rain out yesterday, they had an excuse to turn the TV off and go out and have a nice romantic anniversary dinner. I'm not sure what the switch was that flipped last inning after the at bat by Giancarlo Stanton, because up until then Mike Leake was really a strike throwing machine. But he walked the next two batters, ended up getting out of the inning with a walk or with a strikeout and a ground ball. But here he walks the opposing pitcher to lead off the 6th inning in a 1-run ball game.
Here's Gordon. He is popped up to left. And his first time up, bounced out to Joey Votto at first. Just hard to understand how a guy who's not allowed a hit in the game. This should erase the runner. Double play ball. How about that?
In order to get a guy like D. Gordon, you have to have almost a perfect ground ball. Has to be right at the fielder, hit fairly sharply, which it was, and they're able to turn 2 on one of the faster guys around.
We talked about the 66th anniversary. Also want to wish a happy 91st birthday. 91 of them. To Dorothy Abbott. She's celebrating that 91st birthday today. Mary, earlier Bob and Wanda Purdy, their anniversary yesterday. Dorothy Abbott, 91st birthday today. There was a time not too long ago I would embarrass myself, Chris, but I would do it every night, sing happy birthday. But now,
can't do that.
Too many lawyers in this world.
Well,
can't sing happy birthday.
I think there are a few people who probably would agree with you, but
come on.
Evidently it's been.
Well, one too many then. As
I mean, whoever wrote that?
Dietrich is hit. That's a good question. Who wrote that song? That's a very good question.
So if you sing it and have to pay royalties, where do the royalties go?
Great question. All right, you want to know the answer to the question? Who owns the birth? You're not going to believe this. Here is Yelich. Ground ball, base hit into left field, and that's the first of the game by the Marlins. So Leake goes 5 2/3 hitless innings tonight.
Pretty good bit of hitting right there, because that is a pitcher's pitch. On the knees, on the black. Yelich just going the other way and finding a hole on the left side. Boy, Leake wanted that one. You know, when Giancarlo Stanton he's like a lot of power hitters. When he's going bad, he starts chasing that pitch. He's over anxious. He wants to put everything that he sees in play. But when he starts taking that slider just off the plate, that tells me he's beginning to lock in a little bit.
1-1. Two on, 2 out. And there's strike 2, knee high. A perfect fastball at 92 on the outside corner.
Boy, talk about threading the needle. Now you can expand the zone a little bit, because you define the outer part of the plate. He knows you're going out there, and he may chase.
Came back with another fastball further off the plate, is Chris' suggestion. but too low.
He's quite a ways away from the plate, Stanton is. I'm really surprised that more hitters, big guys especially, don't get up on the dish because they don't realize how it really shrinks the strike zone from the eyes of a pitcher. He likes to get his arms extended and go out there and get it.
That one caught a little bit too much plate, it looked like, and Stanton fouls it back to the screen.
Quite a bit like Todd Frazier, really. Stanton is away from the plate. I can't say he lunges at the plate, but he's got terrific plate coverage with the barrel of the bat.
Got him swinging on a breaking ball to end the inning. A hit and 2 left. We are in the middle of the 6th, where the Reds lead the Marlins 1-0.
Well, Mike Leake made no secret about how he was going to go after Giancarlo Stanton. Every pitch that he will throw is going to be down in that area right there, that down and away area that if Stanton's going to hurt him, he's going to have to hit it the other way. And he finally pulls the string a little bit on that last breaking ball. Got Stanton way out ahead of it. Got the strikeout when he needed it with a couple of runners on base. Has given up only 1 hit through his first 6 innings.
It's a big inning here for the Reds. They could use a little breathing room for Mike Leake. Otto drives one into left center field, but it's playable out there, and that's 1 out in the inning.
How about Todd Frazier with an attempted bunt? He had the third baseman way back. Derek Dietrich playing, 6 or 7 steps behind third base. That was no fake. He was actually out there to try to do it. Came up empty on it. Take a look at that attempted bunt again, and you don't see him do that very often. But now down in the hole 0-2. With the way he's swinging the bat right now in a 1-run game, I want to see Todd swing the bat. Listen, I'm the first one to say on a shift, when they're giving you the entire infield on one side and you can get the line moving and keep the line going by laying a bunt down for a base hit, hey, I'm all for it. But in a 1-run ball game, when you've got one of the hottest hitters in all of baseball up there, you go ahead and let it rip, young man. Time Danny Herron did a little bit of, I guess, his version of Johnny Cueto, which was come to his power spot, which is where his leg hits the very top of his delivery, and then he just kind of hangs there a little bit, trying to upset the timing of the hitter.
Frazier pops it up into foul territory, and that's a second out of the inning. Coming up later on, we'll have our Miller Time moment, and that'll be brought to you by Miller Lite. So now Jay Bruce with 2 down and nobody on. Reds had a chance to get on Herron in the very first inning. Votto walked with 1 out, went to third on a double to center by Frazier. But Herron struck out Jay and got Marlon Byrd on a pop-up to end the inning. Outside of that, the Reds have not threatened at all. In fact, they have only had 1 base runner outside of the solo home run hit by Byrd, which accounted for the lone run of this game, which came in the 4th inning. And that was a 1-out single by Tucker Barnhart in the 2nd inning. And this is a pop-up into foul territory. Good effort over there by the third baseman Dietrich, but it's out of play.
Well, Dietrich just found out that Reds fans are more interested in catching that ball than they are saving a diving fish. You want to dive into our Red seats? You go right ahead. Now, if it's Todd Frazier over there, they'd catch him soft. It would be like a mosh pit.
That's exactly right. That's right. Well,
they'd pass him all the way up to the.
That's right.
To probably the FSO condominium, right up the line there.
It's spoken like a man who's just spent a little time in a mosh pit. 3-1 the count on Jay Bruce. Hammered foul. Here's ball 4. That is his 2nd walk in the game, given up by Dan Herron, and the inning will continue for Marlon Byrd. His last time up, he drove one to the first row in the deepest part of right center field And just his second at bat since being activated from the disabled list before the game tonight. Marlins got in very, very late last night or early this morning, depending on how you want to look at it. For whatever reason, teams around Major League Baseball, and really it's no different than you or me, business travel or traveling to New York City just to go there for the first time or visit that town. Doesn't matter which airport you pick, and it doesn't matter if you're flying apparently privately like the Marlins were doing or publicly. Just a miserable time getting out of there. And got in here very late. You wouldn't know it the way Herron's pitching. It's a 1-0 Reds lead.
Fan Express at Great American Ballpark to root the Reds on to victory. Dates are going fast for the Fan Express. Call 513-765-7600. Get your group signed up today, and we welcome them to the yacht. I'm Jim Day. Let's give you a couple of injury updates. One involving John Moscott. We told you a couple of days ago that his dislocated shoulder was of the significant variety. He had shoulder surgery this morning to repair that dislocated left shoulder. He can begin throwing in 3 months with a full rehab expected of 4 to 6 months. So his season is over. I imagine he might be laying at home. If you are, John, get well soon. Also, Raisel Iglesias, the Cuban pitcher for the Reds, strained oblique. Rehab going well for him. He's soft tossing. And Brian Price hopes that they get him back before the All-Star break, but it would involve at least a short stint in the minor leagues at some point. But good news on that front.
All right, Jimbo, thank you very much. A leadoff single by Marcell Ozuna. Here in the 7th inning, the Reds with a 1-0 lead. Justin Boyd, big first baseman, takes off the outside corner for ball 1. Two and 0. Frazier, a diving stab, gets up, throws, and they got him. What a play. What a play.
Well, that is as good a play as you will see a third baseman make in a long time. Nice pick at the other end there by Votto.
This guy's just having an extraordinary season. You brought it up the other night, Chris. He's become an outstanding defender at third. But to go along with that lethal bat, I mean, this guy is having one heck of a year. Back to the mound, and they've got the runner caught. Phillips to Frazier. Frazier to the shortstop Suarez. Tag made. 2 out in the inning, and a runner stays at first base.
You take that trade off any day of the week in a one-run game, especially. Pick the guy off second base. Bad base running by Ozuna. Now, Mike Leake did the right thing. I mean, he gets the ball, he turns, he immediately checks second base. Dishes it off to the infielder, and they get it done quickly enough to keep the runner from going around and getting him to second base. You know, that's one of those plays there when you're a lead, when you're taking lead off second base as a runner, and you see the ball hit to your left, your first move is instinctively to move towards third base. But you have to wait until it goes by the pitcher. And when Leake snagged that ball, Ozuna was in no man's land.
Adedi Echeverria is 0 for 2, is fouled out to first, grounded out to short. And it's dumped foul and out of play off to the first base side. 0-2 on Echeverria.
Brett's caught a break there. That is Lance Barksdale down there, who gets hit by a wild throw, and ball drops right there.
That one got by League, but right behind him is Brandon, and that'll take care of business. Middle of the 7th, Reds with a 1-0 lead.
the starting all-star lineup here, and so we've got a lot of ground to make up. He's currently in third. We need to get him in second. We need a little under 300,000 votes to do that. You can vote 35 times on Reds.com. It's really easy to do. It takes about 5 minutes. We need a Reds starter in the lineup. You know, I think we're going to see some Reds pitchers, certainly, but Frazier's the most eligible, I think, relevant to statistics. He's had a great couple of days, and it's time to get out there. Reds Nation's got to go hard.
You know, generally when Reds Nation is called upon to step up in terms of voting in any way, shape, or form, that normally is a loud alarm, Chris Welsh, because, you know, you go back to Joey Votto when he was among the group to be added as the final player for the National League All-Star team a number of years ago, landslide runaway winner. In the Ford Frick Award for the Broadcasting Hall of Fame, Joe Nuxhall every year leads the fan voting. That is a very minuscule part of the entire operation to name who would go into the Hall of Fame. But as it pertains to the fans, I mean, huge numbers.
Well, you know, Tom, I'm never one to say, hey, go out and vote for your guy just because he's your guy. Well, you're talking about a player who is the most deserving third baseman out there, without a doubt. So all you're trying to do is right an injustice. And to happen to be your guy even gives you more reason to do so.
Yeah, Frazier has been the man. That one dumped down the left field line by Tucker Barnhart, and Tucker has his second hit. Reds only have 4 of them in the game, and he has half of them.
And I like that swing by Tucker. I said that early in the ball game that, you know, sometimes when a guy hits a home run or two, they begin to get a bigger swing because they want a little bit more and more. And what happens is that you end up in a little bit of a tailspin, and he just tries to stay inside the ball and gets a little break with that ball as it stays fair and goes down the left field line.
Now Dan Jennings, the manager of these Florida Marlins, is coming out of the dugout. We have a pinch hitter announced for Mike Leake. It is Skip Schumacher. And Herron, despite having given up just 4 hits and only 1 run, is going to be taken out of this game with exactly 100 pitches. So this will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. We'll tell you about the new pitcher when we come back. Reds in front 1-0, batting in the 7th. hour. Then stick around afterwards for Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. We'll break it all down. Sidewinding left-hander Steve Cishek comes on from the bullpen. Mike Leake's night is over. 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs. So too is Dan Herron's night. Schumacher bats with 1 out, and Tucker Barnhart at second base.
Cishek, you could see, would be very difficult on right-handers. In fact, he has been the last couple of years the main closer on this ball club. 39 saves last year, 34 the year before that, but he was going so poorly they sent him out in the minor leagues.
And there's a base hit into right center field. Rounding third, headed home is Barnhart, and the Reds lead it 2-0 on a pinch hit run scoring single by Skip Schumacher. Schumacher has been excellent as a pinch hitter this season, among the league's very best.
You know, excellent job by Schumacher, but that's the kind of decision made by Dan Jennings that will be ultra scrutinized in Miami and all around South Florida. You bring a sidewinding right-hander in to face a left-handed hitter, because he did that after Schumacher was announced into the ballgame. If Schumacher comes through like he has so many times, makes it a 2-run game.
And now Billy Hamilton trying to bunt his way on. Is down, strike 1. Close the book on Herron. 6 1/3, 4 hits, 2 runs. He walked 2 batters and struck out 6. Threw the ball very well tonight.
Actually threw the ball better than his numbers indicate. Really, I mean, 6 innings and 2 runs, you'll take that any time.
I mean, really, that ball Barnhart hit was nothing more than just a little bleeder into left field for a double with 1 out here in the inning.
Like that.
And now it's back-to-back hits against the reliever Cishek. One by Schumacher, now by Hamilton, and here comes Brandon.
I'd like to see that swing a lot more out of Billy Hamilton as well. Just a little flip of the wrist right there. You know, it seems to me that when Cishek was really on his game, he had good velocity. That sidewinding motion was deceptive, but he also had a little depth on his fastball where the ball would sink. Now it looks like it's just going kind of side to side, stays on the same plane as the bat.
A chance for 2 here, and it is a double play to get out of the inning. But the Reds tack on a run. We go to the 8th. Reds 2, Marlins nothing. The season changer, Chris, for this Reds right-hander. from a year ago to this year, and even really to start this season. J.J. Hoover, you take away 2 games, the 17th and the 21st of April. Look at his numbers in the other 28 games. Not a single earned run. That's doing it now.
Well, that's coming to camp ready to pitch like he did, figuring out something from a mechanical standpoint that became his key in his delivery, so that every time he lifts his leg up, he knows that he's going to be coming firing right at the plate and not flying too far open like he did last year. You do that, you expose the fastball, you show the hitter the ball too early. The ball doesn't have as much movement, you don't have as much tight spin on your breaking ball. He's fixed that, and he has come back and become the go-to man for Brian Price.
Well, here is the amazing Ichiro Suzuki. He comes up to bat, and officially in a game is Suzuki. The first time he has ever set foot inside of Great American Ballpark, the only current stadium in which until right now he had never played in. His 40th stadium during his just spectacular major league career. And remember now, those are hits in the United States. A-Rod got number 3,000 tonight. Ichiro is thrown out on a marvelous play by Brandon Phillips.
A really nice play by Phillips, but at 41 years old, Ichiro doesn't run anywhere near like he used to when he was in his late 20s when he came to America for the first time. Back in those days, he'd have been about 4 steps past first base. But Brandon does what he can, and what he does, which is barehand that ball, fire it on the money. Good stretch by Votto, and by a hair, they get Ichiro. I always thought that Ichiro would have been. He signed a 1-year deal here with the Marlins. Would have been a really good sign for the Reds, if for no other reason to kind of mentor Billy Hamilton a little bit.
And they said he is just I don't like the word in this context, but he is so worshipped by all these other players on this Marlins team. He won't do interviews in English, but he speaks very good English. And his reputation as a worker, as a player, you know, we all know about Pete Rose, 2,256 hits. Well, if you combine the numbers that Ichiro put up in his career in Japan, where he had 1,278 hits combined with a nearly 2,900 here, he is sitting on 4,164 hits. What does he need? 7 more stolen bases for 500. Again, that's in the United States. Imagine what that number looks like if he played 4 or 5 years in the big leagues before, you know, and not having spent any time in Japan. Up and away to Dietrich.
I mean, all the years that he had, and you couldn't get really further away than the Seattle Mariners from the Cincinnati Reds in a baseball sense. I mean, as far as coverage, he was still bigger than life everywhere he went.
Man. He was something.
I mean, 200 hits, 10 years in a row. 200 hits.
Yeah, I mean, he did things that no major league player ever had done.
And I mean, he was bigger than Elvis too. I mean, he could not go anywhere without just being mobbed. I mean, the media attention that he got, especially from the Japanese press, it would really, they would televise all the games that the Mariners had right back to Japan.
Yep.
And show them on, you know, the equivalent of Fountain Square in Tokyo.
Right. Times Square in New York.
On the big screen.
Yep.
I think they come on early in the morning, if I wasn't mistaken, with the time change. What a player.
2-2 to Dietrich, and it's up and away ball 3. And JJ's got a little work now. You got the big guys coming up here next. You'd love to get Dietrich to hit one right at Brandon Phillips and get out of this inning and let the big fella worry about Yelich, Stanton, and Ozuna in the ninth. Runner goes, fly ball short right. And this will be out number 2 in the inning.
Now J.J. Hoover riding it up there in the mid-90s. This one 94 miles an hour, induces a pop-up shallow right field. Our flamethrower brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce.
One more out to go for J.J. here in the 8th. Yelich has struck out looking, struck out swinging, and singled through the hole into left field. Stanton waits in the on-deck circle. Certainly a daunting presence standing over there in this 2-0 game. And he will lead off the 9th inning. Hoover allows a hit. No runs. Reds bat in the 8th, leading 2-0. Game until the 4th inning. Marlon Byrd is second at bat, fresh off the disabled list, to the seats in right center field, his 11th overall of the year. Mike Lee cruising. Retired the first 13, issued a couple of walks, went through 5 2/3 innings of no-hit baseball. Allowed a single to Yelich, but got out of 2 on 2-out jams in the 5th and 6th. Schumacher batting 4, Lee in the 7th. A pinch hit RBI single. Leak 7 innings of 2-hit shutout baseball tonight. Boy, he was terrific. Hoover a scoreless 8th. Chapman begins to loosen for the 9th. Reds lead 2-0. And now it's left-hander Brad Hand taking over on the mound for the Marlins. Guy's been in and out of the rotation. In fact, 3 times he's gone from the bullpen rotation 16 relief outings so far this year, 26 innings, has allowed 14 earned runs. Big swing and a miss on a 2-0 count to Votto. Votto's walked, 0 for 2, struck out and flied out, and he has walked for a second time tonight. Well, it's time to vote, as we mentioned earlier, for your Cincinnati Reds All-Stars. You can vote up to 35 times on the 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot at Reds.com. Vote Todd Frazier. And we're certainly not afraid to say that. We haven't talked about voting for really any of the Reds players much of this entire All-Star balloting process. But Frazier's earned it. He's earned your vote.
I gotta think this is a pretty good matchup for Frazier right here. Hand's got a nice fastball, but not overpowering. I've not seen a big breaking pitch out of him. And there is the breaking pitch. Nice little slider, not a lot of tilt on it, but maybe enough to get you off the fastball. But that's what Frazier's hunting right now, is a piece of cheese.
Two and two on Frazier. And just serves that one into short right. This is going to fall in a hit. Reading it all the way is Votto. Throw goes into third. And Frazier, the trail runner, goes into second base. Outstanding base running there by Votto, recognizing that was going to fall.
Pretty good pitch by Hand. Bad result from his standpoint anyway. Frazier gets out there and just makes contact with that ball. And the Reds get another one of those opposite field dinghies that fall right in there. That's okay. Votto's an insurance run now, 90 feet away.
Well, Jay Bruce gets his second chance. With a runner at third and fewer than 2 outs, he struck out. Second and third, 1 out in the first inning. And now against a left-hander Hand. Breaking ball is too low. Ball 1 to Jay Bruce. Two and 0. And this will bring in a pair score of runs as Bruce lines one to the wall and right. 4-0 Cincinnati.
Good swing by Jay Bruce. Boy, he kept his weight back, his front hip closed. That ball just explodes off his bat when he gets a sweet spot on it.
And another pitching change going to be made by Dan Jennings. This Marlins bullpen has not fooled anybody here tonight. Cishek allowed a couple of hits. He did get a double play to end the inning. Hand faces 3 batters, does not retire a single one, and so far 2 runs. Reds 4, Marlins nothing. We are in the bottom of the 8th inning. And we'll be back with more in just a moment. In the Kia driver's seat. First game back off the disabled list, put the Reds in the driver's seat with a home run to right center field. And so far that run has been enough, but it sure is nice to have 3 more behind. 2-run double by Bruce here in the last of the 8th inning. Jay's out at second base, still nobody out. Mazzaro takes over on the mound for the Miami Marlins. And Byrd down a strike. Vin Mazzaro. From all the way back, we saw him, you may remember, with the Pittsburgh Pirates. When he came back this year, ironically, in Pittsburgh on the 25th of May. That was the first time he had pitched in a big league game since the 25th of May last year. This guy got some big outs for the Pirates for a couple of seasons when they were building that whole thing and getting it turned around to get back over 500 after 20
and
plus
missing all
losing
that
seasons.
And Tom, missing all that time, really not due to injury, but just due to ineffectiveness, being sent out, you know, outrighted to the minors, designated for assignment, outrighted again, purchased from the minors, that was by the Pirates, designated for assignment. He's been DFA'd about 4 or 5 times. Nice slider. 1 out in the inning. That game, Marlon were teammates. the Pirates and gets Marlon to chase that little slider off the plate.
Now the batter Suarez 0 for 3 in the game, taking off for third is Bruce, and he easily steals third base. What a heads-up play that is. That's one thing that's a constant about this Reds team. It doesn't matter who it is up and down their lineup. If you don't pay attention to them, they are taking off.
Nobody holding them on. And I've always thought that, you know, when you've got a right-handed hitter up there who likes to pull the ball like Suarez, you got the third baseman playing very deep. That's a difficult play for him to cover that bag, get there in time, because the catcher's throwing it right over the bag, really to no target in particular.
And he pulls one right up the line into left field. A base hit for Suarez. He's in with an RBI double to make it 5-0 Reds. Good line about pulling the ball.
Good old-fashioned blow it on open. He's got a nice swing, Suarez does. I mean, remember, he's only 23 years old.
First time all night. Starting to rain. We like to see the Reds get through this bottom half of the 8th inning. I know you say, hey, keep scoring, but believe me, we were talking about it the other night. Last night was probably the first night, as here's a fly ball to short left field, be caught. Second out of the inning. Last night was probably the first night where those that wear a Reds uniform got to bed before 1:30, even 2:30 in the morning when they called the game early. And that goes back to last Saturday night in Chicago. Had the long rain delay in the middle of the game. Got back to the hotel about 1:30, 1:45. Next night played on Sunday Night Baseball. Traveled to Detroit. Didn't get to bed, most of the folks, till 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. Played a long game Monday night. Maybe in bed by 1:15 that night. The following night, traveling from Detroit, got in very late. Probably bed about 2:30. First game back against the Tigers. Hour and 14-minute rain delay. 13-inning game.
Game ended at 1:15 a.m.
Yep. So, it's one thing to have the schedule the baseball players have, and nobody feels sorry for them. But even in their world, or those that work in baseball, you do get used to being able to put your head on the pillow more times than not, at least around midnight. Most of the time, whether you're on the road or at home. 1:30, 2:30, 3:30 is a whole different cat.
Well, this Marlin team, Ken, you mentioned it early on that they didn't get in until 4:30 last night. Could not get out of New York. So by the time they got to the hotel, it was close to 5 a.m. when they finally put their head on the pillow.
On swinging Chris Dominguez, and that'll end the inning. But the Reds tack on 3. They've scored 4 in the last 2 innings and lead 5-0. by Miller Lite. Skip Schumacher in a 1-0 game comes off the bench. Pinch hitting for Mike Leake, drives in Tucker Barnhart. Schumacher's done an outstanding job as a pinch hitter. Take a look at those numbers. 8 of 24 with 4 doubles, 3 runs batted in as a pinch hitter this year for Skip Schumacher.
You know who he reminds me of this year as a pinch hitter? I mean, left-handed hitter, loves to hit the fastball, laying out line drives all over the place. The guy who I think is over there in the Marlins dugout, who wore a Reds uniform for a long time, one of your favorite guys, Tom. Mine too.
Yeah.
Lenny Harris.
He's now the third base coach. They just moved him over to third.
Yeah, he was the assistant hitting coach.
That's
now
right.
he's the third base coach.
I mean, this guy, you know, it always used to break my heart back in the old days when WLW used to run those audio clips of broadcasters. Remember when Lenny all of a sudden started having all kinds of problems on defense? And, I mean, look, it happened. But this guy, if there's a guy that's easier to like that has ever played baseball, that is more fun to be around, that you can laugh with and joke with and go back and forth with more than anybody I've ever been around. No one's more fun than that guy right there.
So he gets himself out a very fine major league career, covering parts of 18 seasons in the major leagues. 7 here in Cincinnati, 5 with the Dodgers, 3 with the Mets, 3 with the Marlins, a couple of years with the D-backs, 1 each, Rockies, Cubs, and Brewers.
Yep.
I mean, so, hey, that's a lot of jerseys to hang in your man room, isn't it?
And you know what? He came away. How many World Series rings? I know he won one with these Marlins in 2003. I don't know why I think, maybe he didn't win another one. But,
well, he could hit, too.
Can't wait
I mean,
to see
line drive waiting to happen.
He is something. He is so fun to be around. Sense of humor. Grew up on the mean, and I mean mean now, as Pedro Villarreal takes over on the mound. Lenny has never lived anywhere in his entire life except for Miami. And believe me when I tell you, you talk about the wrong side of the tracks now. He grew up in as tough a neighborhood as there is in this country. Gone swinging his Stanton, and a hitless night for Giancarlo Stanton. Villarreal, you may remember, has so infrequently, and Chris, this is a guy, you know, you've talked about from time to time, Villarreal, where, you know, you always point out, and I think rightfully so, that he's really never had an extended chance at the big league level. He'd come up last year, up and down, game here, game there, same thing this year. And he came in that game in Detroit, went 3 1/3 innings after Moscot had the lead.
On 1 day's rest, because he had pitched 2 days earlier in Louisville,
right,
for the Bats.
2 innings.
2 innings, yeah.
And he goes 3 1/3 innings in that game against the Tigers. He gives up 1 unearned run. And man, did he throw the ball well that night. He's going to allow a 1-out double to Ozuna here in the 9th inning.
Well, you know he's in a position where it's really difficult to showcase yourself. You do it in short sample sizes because you're a long reliever. I mean, he wasn't expecting to be in this ball game until the Reds pushed across 3 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning. It was going to be a Aroldis Chapman. So when you're a long man, you might be in the 1st inning, or you may be in a game like this, or in the 15th inning when the game is tied and you've gone extras. You don't get regular work. You're not sure how much throwing to get before the ball game because you want to stay sharp, but you don't want to wear yourself out.
Justin Bour with a runner at second base and 1 out in the Miami Marlins 9th inning. 2-0. We had a moment of silence before the game tonight. So many around the ballpark and so many around our community still stunned. 27 years Cincinnati Police Department veteran Sonny Kim shot and killed in Madisonville. Survived by his wife and 3 sons. Our thoughts and prayers with them and all those who served with him and who do serve on our police department, one of the country's very, very best. Senseless, just senseless. We've seen a lot of these guys for years and years and years here at the ballpark. This is a police department across the country that is as admired as any there is in the United States. There's a fly ball into left field. Byrd will get it, and the Marlins are down to their final out. Real Muto will bat with 2 away here in the 9th. Reds trying to tie a ribbon around this one, and it would be their 3rd straight win. Strike 1. Marlon Byrd a home run. Frazier a couple of more hits. Votto reaches base twice tonight. Jay Bruce a 2-run double. Suarez a run scoring single. Tucker Barnhart a couple of hits tonight. Schumacher a big pinch hit run scoring single. Leak was fabulous. Going 7 innings, allowed 2 hits, no runs. Hoover a scoreless 8th. And now Villarreal a strike away and out away from a scoreless 9th. Would be the 11th win in the last 15 played for the Reds against these Marlins. Swung on and fouled out of play. It's also the longest active streak by one opponent over another of holding that opponent to 4 runs or fewer. This would be the 11th consecutive game where the Reds have held the Marlins to 4 or fewer. Tonight would be a 4-hit shutout if Villarreal can retire this Marlins catcher. Chapman is ready in the bullpen. And if this batter reaches, he's coming into the game, because it would be a save chance. Pretty good battle here.
We just watched Tucker Barnhart behind the plate. I mean, he is almost willing Villarreal to hit his mitt exactly where he sticks it up there. I mean, he is so emphatic about where he puts that side. He was shaking his glove right before Villarreal cut that thing loose. So this is where I want it. Tucker's had a good night tonight. I mean, pitchers don't do a good job like they have done tonight without the help of the guy behind the plate.
Bermudo hanging in there. Eighth pitch of this at bat. There'll be a ninth. And that's all she wrote. Villarreal hit, 2 strikeouts in a scoreless night. Mike Leake, J.J. Hoover, Pedro Villarreal combined on a 4-hit shutout. More to come from Great American Ballpark as the Reds win their 3rd in a row in a moment.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.